Case in the Tex McIver murder trial. The Atlanta attorney is accused of intentionally shooting and killing his wife Diane as they were riding in an SUV together in 2016. 11 Alive has streamed every day of this trial live on our digital platforms, reaching more than 1.6 million people. We've even seen key moments trend on Google searches, like when the star witness Danny Jo Carter took the stand. And now within the last hour, the judge charged the jury after more than a month of testimony. Caitlin Ross is at the courtroom now, and Caitlin, both sides trying very hard to prove their case in this final chance to appeal to the jury today.
Cheryl, these were very passionate closing arguments. People were yelling, banging on the jury box as they both tried to prove their side. And both sides focused on this one key phrase, reasonable doubt. They both tried to prove that that phrase helped their side of the case. The legal definition means there's no other logical explanation that can be derived from the facts except that the defendant committed the crime, thereby overcoming the presumption that a person is innocent until proven guilty. The prosecution described it as a common sense in this case, akin to something we deal with every day here in Georgia.
That is pollen on my car. And Mr. Samuel or Mr. Harvey might want to tell me, well, Kara, you didn't do any testing on the pollen. You didn't take a sample of the substance and send it off to the lab. You know, it could be someone who came into the courthouse, a disgruntled employee, and hosed down the first row of cars with the yellow dust. It could be. It's possible, but it's not reasonable. You know beyond a reasonable doubt that that's pollen.
But the defense says this is much more complicated than pollen. They gave a long list of 16 different doubts that they had about the case and said that if the jury believed even one of them, they had to find Tex McIver not guilty.
I'm going to talk to you about doubts that exist, about the state's theory and about the evidence that they've presented here. And I caution you as I begin, you don't need, I'm going to just list 16, the most prominent doubts. You don't need 16 doubts to return a verdict of not guilty. You just need one doubt, one reasonable doubt about the theory of the prosecution's case. If you have one reasonable doubt, you don't have an option. At that point, your verdict must be not guilty.
The jury began deliberating at 3:30 this afternoon, and coming up at 6, we'll talk about what those 12 men and women are doing right now. Cheryl?
Caitlin, I've been following you on Twitter, and you said it didn't take long for the jurors to ask some questions.
Yes, they immediately came back to the judge and they asked 3 questions. The most important being they asked to see the gun that was used to kill Diane McIver, and they wanted it unlocked so they could test it themselves. So immediately the deputy said, okay, brought that gun back, and the jurors are looking at that weapon right now.
All right, look forward to more from you at 6 o'clock. Caitlin Ross reporting. Thank you.